Rosie's invisible paintbrush. The discovery. In a small gray town where the streets seemed to whisper boredom, an imaginative little girl named Rosie lived with her parents. Rosie had curly chestnut hair that danced around her face and twinkling hazel eyes filled with wonder. Though the town was dull, Rosie's mind was vibrant, brimming with dreams of color and magic. One cloudy afternoon, while playing in her backyard, Rosie noticed something glimmering near the old oak tree. She crouched down and found an unassuming paintbrush with a golden handle. As she held it, she noticed something peculiar. There were no visible bristles. She furrowed her brow and thought, "What good is a paintbrush with no bristles?" Curiosity got the better of her, and Rosie swiped the paintbrush across the air, pretending to paint a flower. To her astonishment, a vivid tulip blossomed before her eyes, hovering in the air. Rosie gasped and reached out to touch it. It felt as real as the grass under her feet. The paintbrush was no ordinary tool. It was magic. It could bring her drawings to life. Excited, Rosie decided to test it further. She painted a bluebird, and it chirped and flew into the sky. She painted a warm loaf of bread, and the scent wafted into her nose. The paintbrush didn't just create, it made things real, bringing joy to the town. Rosie couldn't keep such an incredible gift to herself. She decided to brighten the drab streets of her town with her newfound tool. The next morning, she walked to the town square, carrying the paintbrush and a palette of imagined colors in her mind. First, she painted a fountain in the middle of the square. The invisible strokes turned into a sparkling masterpiece, complete with crystal clear water that shimmered in the sunlight. People gathered around, their eyes wide with amazement. "Where did this come from?" asked Mr. Grumbles, the baker. Rosie giggled and whispered, "A little splash of magic." Next, she painted a garden on the barren patch of dirt near the library. Roses, sunflowers, and daffodils sprang to life, their vibrant petals swaying in the breeze. Children skipped and laughed, picking invisible daisies to tuck behind their ears. Word spread quickly about the miraculous little girl and her invisible paintbrush. People lined up with requests. A bench for the park. A rainbow in the sky. Ooh! Ooh! Can you paint me a bicycle? Rosie happily obliged, creating everything from playful kittens to a swing set that made the children squeal with joy. The once gray town was now a kaleidoscope of color and happiness, thanks to Rosie's magic brush. But soon, Rosie noticed something strange. The more she painted, the more tired she became. The paintbrush seemed to drain her energy, and by the end of the day, her arms felt like jelly. Rosie didn't want to stop, but she realized she might need help. A final masterpiece. That evening, Rosie returned home and thought hard about what to do. She knew she couldn't keep painting everything herself. As she lay in bed, an idea began to bloom in her mind, like the flowers she had painted earlier. The next morning, Rosie returned to the square, her paintbrush in hand. She called out to the crowd that had gathered, "I have one last painting to make!" Everyone watched as Rosie began to move the brush with careful strokes. This time, she painted something extraordinary. A second invisible paintbrush. It glowed for a moment before becoming solid. She handed it to a little boy named Max, who had always dreamed of being an artist. "You can help me now," Rosie said with a tired but warm smile. One by one, Rosie painted more brushes and gave them to others. Soon, the town's residents began to create their own magic. Together, they painted a carnival with colorful tents, a shimmering lake, and a sky full of fireworks. The town became a living canvas, bursting with life and joy. Rosie's invisible paintbrush had done more than bring her imagination to life. It had inspired an entire town to dream and create. As the sun set on the vibrant streets, Rosie looked around and smiled. For the first time, the town wasn't just colorful, it was alive with happiness. As she headed home, the paintbrush whispered a final secret to her. The magic isn't in me, Rosie. It's in you! Rosie tucked the brush into her pocket, knowing she would carry its magic and her creativity forever.